You might think that you know what Mercury looks like because you've seen pictures of it. But those pictures only show us one side of the planet, and they don't show us its orbit. They only show us a small part of its orbit. If we knew the whole story of Mercury, its orbit would look like this. Hi, it's me, and welcome to this channel. Somewhere in here are 9 Earths. Well, not really, but there might be. Okay, let's go back to Mercury. If it had 9 moons, you wouldn't notice much from Earth. You'd still only see one tiny dot in the sky. You'd just see it move around a bit more. It'd look like it was wobbling. And that's exactly what astronomers think is happening. They think Mercury may have a bunch of hidden moons. In 2021, astronomers reported finding evidence for a moonlet swarm around Mercury, a group of small moons so dim and numerous that they have been collectively hiding in plain sight since the dawn of space exploration. Since then, scientists have been debating whether to call them moons or moonlets, whether they exist at all. But either way, Mercury may have a lot more moons than its one known moon, Messenger, which makes it a lot more interesting. If Mercury has many more moons, big and small, it would tell us that planets can keep moons even when they get close to the sun. It could also mean that the inner solar system was a much crazier place in the past. And it could also mean that we might have some new places to look for signs of water or even life. The idea of moons around Mercury isn't new. Scientists predicted their existence as far back as 1965, but they're hard to spot because they're so close to the planet. When Mariner 10 flew by Mercury in 1974 and sent back the first close-up pictures of the planet, scientists were hoping to see signs of these predicted moons, but no such luck. Instead, Mariner 10 found no moons at all. So Messenger was sent to Mercury in 2011 to take a closer look. Messenger didn't find any moons either, but it did find a weird wobble in Mercury's orbit. That wobble could have been caused by something like a swarm of small moons or a big moon that got ripped apart by tidal forces. Either way, that explained the wobble. And without any signs of moons, scientists pretty much forgot about them. But then, in 2021, researchers took another look at Mercury's orbit using data from Messenger and also from the European Space Agency's BepiColombo probe. They concluded that Mercury's orbit was actually wobbling twice. There was the wobble that Messenger had found, but there was also an even slower wobble on top of it. And that extra wobble could only be explained by a bunch of small moons. The paper said that the total mass of these moonlets would be about 1/30th the mass of Mercury's moon, Messenger. Since then, other scientists have disagreed with the results, saying that more likely Mercury's orbit is being affected by the gravity of just one large moon, though astronomers haven't found that moon either, if it is there. It would be about 30 times smaller than our moon and only 60 miles or 100 kilometers wide. It would also be highly eccentric, meaning that it would come super close to Mercury sometimes and then recede to the edge of the solar system at other times. So it might be easier to spot soon. But let's say that Mercury does turn out to have a whole bunch of small moons. What would that tell us? For one thing, it would tell us that Mercury could hold on to its moons, despite being so close to the sun. I think that's because Mercury formed farther out in the solar system where it was colder. Then it migrated inward and brought its moons with it. What's more, Mercury's magnetic field is weirdly strong, which means that it must have a lot of water ice. A magnetic field like that can't exist without water ice. And that water ice probably came from comets or other icy bodies that crashed into Mercury. Those crashes would have created a bunch of heat too. So it seems like Mercury was a very active place early in the solar system's history. There could have been lots of volcanism, lots of tectonic activity, maybe even an atmosphere. And those conditions would have been great for life too. If Mercury had moons, there would have been even more places for life to hide. In fact, astronomers think that one of Mercury's moons may already have signs of life on it. I'm talking about a place called Ragnarok, which is a crater on Mercury's surface. It's always in shadow. It's very cold, and it may have water ice. In 2020, scientists reported finding what looks like a huge crack or fracture running around the entire crater. And in 2022, another team said that it saw signs of organic molecules in the area. All of that could be a sign that there is water, ice, and maybe even microbial life in this permanently shadowed place. So Mercury's moons may help us understand how the planet formed, and maybe even tell us whether we re-alone in the solar system. But we'll need to get there first. And that's tricky because Mercury is so close to the sun. Only one spacecraft has ever visited it, Messenger. It used a gravity assist around Venus 8 times to slow down enough to get into orbit around Mercury. But Messenger was launched before we had the Falcon Heavy, rocket or the SLS, so we don't have an easy way to get to Mercury. Now that may change in the next few years, when Russia launches a mission to Mercury with the European Space Agency. But even if it doesn't, Mercury's moons will still be there waiting for us. Okay, but now it's time for a space news quiz. What was the name of the last mission to visit Mercury? What is Mercury's only known moon called? And what is the name of the possible moon that could explain Mercury's orbital wobble? If you knew those answers, leave them in a comment. And if you want to know the answers to previous space news quizzes, follow the link below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.